I'm joined by Laurence Skelly, DED Minister, and work permits is the subject that you bring up as a press release today. You're saying exemptions has been good. It's been positive. You're bound to say that, but I mean, there's been quite a lot of flack about it as well. But let's come to that next. Tell us what the positives have been by relaxing work permits.
Well, this press release here is with regards to the e-business and ICT. Last February last year, I brought forward an exemption for this particular industry, and that was on the basis that it was very clear that we could not find local people to actually fill the roles that were being created here by local industry. So we brought forward an exemption, and I said I would do a report in a year's time, and the result is that there were 76 new posts that were actually filled as a result of this exemption. So
what would have happened? They would have had to apply for work permits, sat around, and then they would have still got them, wouldn't they? I mean, wouldn't those 76 people still be here, but had to wait a bit longer?
They'd have to go through the system,
yeah.
and I think the industry was telling us that this was one of the barriers. Very clear, there was such clear evidence that there was not the skills right here, and that's why we brought that forward. And quite frankly, it would have actually been a larger number should we have actually progressed the cohabitating partners, which is now part of the Equality Bill, and we hope to resolve that in the coming months.
I mean, I've got first-hand knowledge of people having to get married because of the fact they couldn't get their spouses in. Is that something that's now been dealt with?
It is, yeah. You're talking about, I lived in America, the green card issue.
Yeah.
And yes, of course, very famous film. No, cohabitating it was really about, the Equality Bill was about modernising our legislation, and there was an opportunity within that to deal with the cohabitating. But I do need to bring an order to Tynwald, which once the Equality Bill gains royal assent, we will hopefully bring that forward in the next month or two.
So we've got these new people coming here. We're still depopulating. There's still a problem. I mean, you know, where do you go next? I mean, how many other regulations can be relaxed to encourage people to move to the island? Yeah,
and this is what we as a government, of course, have committed to. There's grown our economically active, and very clearly in this particular industry here, we can demonstrate a number of people who have actually moved here to the Isle of Man, specifically in this area. So that is a benefit to the economy, and we hope that can be increased in this coming year.
You see the stats, you see the figures. Your job is to stimulate the economy, but it's lacking drive still. I mean, back to the depopulation thing. More people, isn't it a worry that people want to leave the island, which is, in the past, has seemed such a thing that people want to come here?
Yeah, I think you're looking at a 5-year snapshot, and I think you've got to take that in context, really. So 5 years ago it was here, and 5 years, you know, where it is today. What we would see is, in particular, the last couple of years, we've seen a lot of increase in terms of the business, in terms of the business investment, the jobs, as just stated right there. So, and we do see a lot of positive signs coming forward. So yes, it is looking more healthy.
And you've brought this thing out with the economic year in numbers. You've been crunching those, and obviously you've brought out any particular highlights you want to mention. I mean, obviously there's so many here.
It's many ways it's an opportunity to sort of demonstrate what we do in economic development. What we do is we support local business, and we do that to the tune of £3 million. But as a result, that brings in another £6 million in investment and translated into 280 jobs. So that's just part of our day job. But the other part is the work that goes on with regards to unemployment. We now have a 20-year low unemployment.
Yeah, but everywhere has. I mean, the UK is dropping Channel Islands. Everywhere is having a fantastic time.
And we're also having an increase here in jobs, and that's what our role is. And some of the areas that we've managed to address here are the long-term unemployment, the youth unemployment, and working with our colleagues in education, we're rolling out more opportunities for our young people. And one of those areas is apprenticeship. So we're trying to focus in on the vocational opportunities that are abound here on the Isle of Man.
How's your £50 million pot doing?
That's now in full flow. We've had the first few deals concluded. We'll be issuing a press release, or Spark Impact will be issuing a press release here today to kind of give a little bit more detail behind that. But yes, that has taken some time to get going.
It does seem a long time since it was announced.
It is.
The previous government announced it, didn't it?
Well, yes, it was a year ago. But what you do have to think about is they have to go through the various regulation. And if you are, and we do have to understand that the safeguards that are in place, because this is public money that is co-investing, and we're investing in equity and in loans.
And I'm sure you looked at the Jersey problems they had with their funds. I mean, all sorts of companies came and went and took their money with them. So due diligence is huge.
Due diligence is a really important point, yes. And the other very I think the biggest differential in that is what we, in terms of, we stated very, very clearly we wanted to do, and that was depoliticize the process, put it in expert hands, because we do not politically want to play Dragon's Den, nor do we want to put it in the executive's responsibility. So therefore we had the process, and that's why Spark Impact won that.
So there's money in the pot still. I mean,
it's been top. Yes, it is. It's their 5-year program, and the first few deals have been done, and we've got a very strong pipeline, and we're expecting that to gain momentum here now.
Is there a tangible amount of people that have to be working to make that £50 million thing look like good value for money?
Well, there's two main indicators that we're seeking. Let's remember that this is to be a sustainable fund, so we're looking to give loans, and we know how the financial institutions are struggling with regards to business at the moment, so give loans and equity, and we would be co-investing, and therefore that's what we look for it to be sustainable going forward. The other key indicator we're seeking is real jobs here on the ground, because if you've got a real business with real jobs,
I mean that's the essence, isn't it? It's not a plaque on a building.
Indeed, you're absolutely right, because the focus is having physical presence business, and we know
paying their taxes, putting people in schools, making the population. I'm doing your job for you.
But you clearly get the message. And that's exactly the message that we want, not just for you, the media, but the public, but also the wider international community to understand.
Are you selling the Isle of Man in the right way? I mean, people from the south of England aren't that interested in us, I think, in the general rule of thumb. It's people who see the quality of life issues here. Do you play on that enough to say that our rush hour is 10 minutes in the morning and not sitting on a train for 4 hours? Well,
you just nailed it, really, Paul Gay, doing the job for me. No, it's the USP, and we know in terms of our competitiveness, we may not be as competitive as we may have been in the past. However, our quality of life is vitally important. You're just talking about rush hour traffic. What about safety? What about our education system and the great outdoors?
But do you play it enough? I mean, that's my point.
Oh, do we do enough?
Yeah.
Yes. Well, the interest is very strong there. There's no doubt about that. And
where's your target place? Is it UK? Is it north? UK? Is it anywhere particular?
Well, we would regard the world as our target. You've got Brexit coming up, and you talk about Europe, but we already have a country strategy. Whereas we are in China, we're in the Far East. We've got activity happening there. But in terms of the UK, we work very closely with colleagues in our near neighbours, and there's been a big focus with regards to the Northern Powerhouse, for example. So we have a lot of activity, a lot of events. A couple of weeks ago, I was one of an angel investor in Manchester. Very strong interest there in Manchester. We've got an MOU with Liverpool City Council. We've got an MOU with Manchester University for the biomed industry.
Okay.
And that demonstrates we're strategic partners, not competitors.
I got told the other day that there's a possible banking licence is going to be issued, the first one in 20 odd years. I don't know if that's in the public domain yet or not. I hear these things, I can't remember. But even if that's a strong rumour, if nothing else is in the public.
Yes, I mean, we've been working with a number of people for quite a long time, and of course this is the whole point. It takes time. We haven't had a banking licence for well over 20 years.
Yeah, I believe so.
The industry is contracted. We all know why that is with regards to the banking crisis and so forth. So if we were to get one, and we are speaking to people, and we do hope that we'll be able to progress. I don't want to jump the gun with it, but we are speaking to people who are making very serious intent.
Okay. Just to go back to the beginning with work permits, just to finish with people who are concerned, and I'm not talking about maybe these particular people here, but there's concerns and union concerns about this whole thing about relaxing them. What would you say? I mean, you're keeping a check on it. Is there a sunset clause in there? I mean, does it roll on? I mean, how's it all being handled?
I first and foremost, as a government, we made a commitment, both myself, Chief Minister, stating that we believe the work permit system has to be retained. However, can we enhance it? Can we make it better? And of course, if we relax it in certain areas that we've talked about already, doing temporary exemptions for the hospitality industry, where there's an acute shortage.
But that did cause a lot of flack. But I mean,
did it? Where?
Well, you hear about it. Yeah, I know. That's what I'm trying to. We're here to try and challenge you on that. But you think it's gone fine? I mean,
all I can come back to is two things. Number one, what industry tells us. Yeah. They had a lot of jobs they've now managed to fill, and we've got a tourism industry that's growing, and then the unemployment speaks for itself.
So is the work permit committee themselves going to be unemployed at some point?
No. There is still a process there that does need to be effective. And as I say, I still believe in the system because it is about having Manx first. In other words, we want to ensure that we've got people here. And that's why the work permits, whilst there's a lot of debate around that, is only part of the equation. In other words, we've got to look at the training behind it. So we go back to the ICT. What we did do there is we relaxed that and we made an exemption, but we've also launched an apprenticeship scheme, whereas last year I think we had 16 young people here in the Isle of Man enter this particular industry on their aptitude, not their academic qualification, and next year we're expecting over 20. So this is a great success story.